Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. I have been so busy lately. I don't even know if I've posted anything in like a year. And that's because I was finishing out my degree. I officially graduated in May with my degree in neuroscience. So I'm so happy, even though I missed school, I'm so happy to be done and to have time to read and hopefully film some videos. But just because I wasn't reading doesn't mean I wasn't stacking up books on my TBR. So I have accumulated quite the physical TBR, and I need to start reading those before I buy other books. So there's so many different ways that people have come up with to read through their physical TBRs, and I thought it'd be fun to try out a few of them to see what sticks, what actually helps me read. So of course, first we're gonna do a spinner wheel. I have about 70 books, but a good portion of them are nonfiction, so I took all the nonfiction out just because I don't see myself, because I've been in a slump and haven't read a lot, I don't see myself getting out of a slump with nonfiction. So I took off all the nonfiction and I have 55 books. I technically have 56 because I didn't put Crime and Punishment on there. It was in a different space in my room and I forgot about it, but that's okay because I don't think I'm ready to tackle Crime and Punishment. So we're gonna spin the wheel. I have about 55 books on here, so I'm gonna spin the wheel, read that book, and then spin the wheel again, and we'll see how many we get through. Sometimes I read fast, but I really have to get into a book to read it fast. So yeah, I'm hoping to get through at least 3 books, but we'll have to see. So without further ado, you're not gonna be able to read this, so I'll just spin the wheel. Let me see. I'm so nervous. I feel like it's gonna be like a huge book or something. The bell jar, oh my gosh. Okay, so I just picked up the bell jar because I found it, I think I found it in like one of the little free libraries, and I was like, oh my gosh, I haven't actually read this, but I've seen quotes from it and stuff, so that's really exciting. And I feel like it's a short enough book that could be good to get out of a slump. So next time I see you, hopefully I'm reading the bell jar. Okay, so I am 75 pages into the bell jar. I'm on chapter 7, and I picked up the audiobook because, for one, I need all the help with this slump that I can get, and audiobooks are like a little bit easier just to put on and do other stuff. And 2, I needed to clean my house. So I got a good amount of stuff done, and I got 75 pages in, so I'm feeling good about that. But I realized that I had no idea what this book is about, and 75 pages in, I still don't know what this book is about, but it's very obvious that this book is more of character study than plot driven, which is totally fine. I'm still enjoying it. But yeah, I guess the only things I've read of Sylvia Plath are little like excerpts, either from this book or from her other writings, so I didn't know like really what to expect, even though I've heard her writing before, I didn't know what to expect, and I am enjoying it. We're following this girl named Esther who is currently in New York. She's from Boston, but she's currently in New York with these other 12 girls and they won some type of like magazine internship, scholarship sort of a thing. The most interesting part of the book so far to me is how she talks about her own insecurities and she gives the false sense that she's self-aware of her insecurities. She writes in depth about how she compares herself to her friends or the other girls on the trip, but it becomes like quickly obvious that she is not as self-aware as she's claiming to be, or that she would seem to be on the surface, because she treats other people like this guy she used to talk to. She talks about him in the same dismissive ways that she feels like other men talk about her, and she projects her insecurities onto other women and talks badly about them in order to make herself feel more secure. Yes, she might have a sense that she doesn't feel good in her own skin, that she's not confident, but I don't think she has an awareness of how far the insecurity is ruling her life. Like, her feeling, she thinks that she's in control of her feelings, but really it's like her insecurity controlling all of her feelings about everything, about the way that, about other people, about her job, about the men around her. And yeah, I just think it's, that piece is really interesting. I feel like I didn't explain that well, but yeah, I don't actually know where this book is going. I did read the back of the book, and I think I have like a little bit of a hint about what's about to happen, but I am reserving all thoughts and feelings about that until it actually happens, because I didn't know going into the book what the book was about. So yeah, I am enjoying it. It's definitely slower pace. One other thing I want to say is that it has a lot of racist and sexist language that I don't want to just push past and be like, oh, it's just, you know, a product of the time, because I am struggling to understand whether it's Sylvia Plath who's using those words, or if she's trying to make a character who does feel those things. And so yeah, it's confusing. It makes me uncomfortable because I can't discern, and it doesn't seem to be like furthering the plot or even really the character development. Like, I think that there's ways that we can express that she's like not as good of a person as she's presenting herself than using like offensive language. So there's that, and I'm not pushing past that at all. I don't want to just be like, oh, it's fine, because it's definitely not. But I will update you when I finish. Okay guys, I hate doing this, and I feel like it's boring content. Not only that, but I just like hate it for myself, because I like to see things through and I want to give it a chance, but I really think that I'm gonna DNF this. I think my experience of it was severely hindered by the fact that I was reading it on audio, but I got so far into the book, maybe like a little bit less than halfway through the book on audio, and the thought of having to slow myself down and read the rest of this book physically is making me bored already. So yeah, I don't think I'm gonna do it. And so there's a few reasons. For one, she is so unlikable, but it's not that I don't like unlikable characters, it's just that she's unlikable in the particular way that I don't like and that I actually find annoying to read about. Sorry, my cat's gonna knock something down. He's literally in my cabinet right now. That's absurd. Like, what are you doing, sir? Okay, let me deal with that. Sorry, I had to deal with my cat. She is like so insecure, which I talked about, but she really treats everybody horribly and looks down on everybody based off of their race, their weight, like even she talks badly about women. She literally just looks down on everybody for everything, and that's just like, I don't want to read about that. I don't want to read about that when it serves no purpose. It's totally different if somebody is talking about their experience with oppression or with discrimination and they're detailing, like, this is the reality that I face. Like, it's not that we shouldn't have books that talk about that type of stuff, but it's that it serves no purpose in the story, and you're also kind of she's supposed to be relatable, and you're supposed to have a little bit of sympathy for her because she's, like, you know, increasingly, like, going through, like, more severe depression and, like, and mental health struggles. But that doesn't mean that, like, that doesn't, like, make you racist. I just, like, I'm struggling with this book, both because of that and also because I just don't actually think I like the book. Like, I think her writing is really pretty, and I think, like, I love flowery writing. I love something that's, like, overwritten, something where we're just, like, describing the scenes. I love all that. I love where we just set a vibe and, like, we're overly descriptive about either the environment or about, like, somebody's mental process, and it's very, very stream of consciousness. But I just hate her, and I don't want to be in her head, and that's what the whole book is about. So I just feel like I'm not going to, like, enjoy sitting here and finishing it out, and there's things that I'd just much rather be reading. The other thing is that I totally understand that this book is not a plot focused book, and I don't need it to be, but there are, like, really significant things that happen in the plot that, like, so far, like, don't get brought up again or, like, don't get addressed. Like, I don't want to say it because it's a spoiler, but there's something that, like, happens that's, like, pretty significant, and if this happened in real life, we would be like, let's investigate this, like, who, what, when, where, why, like, and it was, like, kind of just like, oh yeah, this happened, and, you know, then they moved on and, like, didn't talk about it again, and that feels like, it just feels weird. It's like, why is the plot, like, sometimes, but then it's not, like, even if we're in her head, certainly she has, like, feelings and questions about the things that are happening to her, but I don't know, maybe I'm just not understanding it. And also I think, like I said, like, reading this book just on audio is really difficult because I'm, like, just hearing, like, her voice in my head, and so I think I'm forgetting the things that she has said, and then there'll be, like, a callback to something that she mentioned, like, 5 chapters ago, but it's, like, a really minor detail, and then you'll be like, wait, when did she go to college? Like, that type of thing. Yeah, so she just talks so much incessantly, and I love to talk, and I love to talk about useless stuff, but I just don't think I care about hearing her perspective, especially when she is talking so horribly about everybody else. Like, I wish more people would discuss how actually horrible some of the stuff in this book is. Like, it's bad, and I don't want to read that. Like, I don't want to give it my time or energy. There are much better things I could be reading, and I just don't like it. It's not entertaining me, so I'm not really getting anything out of it. And I feel like there are a lot of reasons probably to like this book eventually. The main, like, plot of the book that everyone, like, knows this book for hasn't even happened yet, and we're halfway through, so I don't, like, maybe that half is more significant and gives more of an insight into, like, mental health and mental health awareness. I really can't speak to, like, how it deals with those subjects because we don't really know, like anything, because nothing really significant has, like, happened, and you don't even really realize that she's struggling, like, at least halfway. So maybe I'm just not picking up on something, but unfortunately I'm gonna have to DNF this. The fig tree metaphor is beautiful, and there are so many quotes in here, they're really good, but it's just sandwiched in between like so much irrelevant details about her inner thoughts that I don't care about, that it makes those moments like we just like move past them. And so I feel like I can't really like soak into like these beautiful metaphors like the fig tree and stuff like that. I can't get something out of it because I'm just so annoyed. But anyway, but I did, this is the other reason that I am choosing to DNF it, is because I just picked up a book. There was a new Barnes that opened by me, and so I picked up this book. It's actually huge, but it's a bunch of short stories by Clarice Lispector, and I read the first story in this. It's only 5 pages long, but it is so good, and it just like, you just kind of get dropped into this girl's like life, and for 5 pages you're just like in her like heart and in her head and like how she's feeling, and I was there with her. Like I felt for her, and I was and I like related to the stuff that she was saying, and it just showed me that, you know, I can relate to similar writings where we are stream of consciousness in somebody's head, or at least we're just kind of dropped into somebody's world without knowing much, and I can still like get a lot out of that writing. I just don't want to read about that particular character in Bellwood. The Bellwood. I don't know why I said Bellwood. In the Bell Jar. And I don't want to read about the horrible thing she says. So I've seen other people talk about Clarice Lispector and have really liked her, so I wanted to pick this up, and so far, I mean, I'm 5 pages in, but that first story was so good. I am so excited. I think I'm just gonna like read this in little chunks, so it won't be like a part of this vlog. But yeah, I will talk to you in a second when I pick my next read. So I decided to switch it up. I think in the intro I said that I was going to do the spinner wheel 3 times, but I'm actually gonna pick a different method of choosing my TBR each time, and I'll kind of see like what works, what doesn't, and I think that'll be like fun to maybe like try different things in different like in the episodes, and then maybe we can like narrow down like a way to pick my TBR. So yeah, so this time I decided that I'm gonna have someone else choose it. I'm gonna text my sister and I'm gonna have her pick some kind of prompt for my shelves. Like she can pick like a color on a cover, or like a genre, or some type of like prompt like that, and then I'll pull whatever books match that prompt from my shelves, and then I'll show her, and then she can pick out of those books. So next time you'll see me, hopefully she has responded and we can pick our next book. Okay, so we're over by my bookshelf and my sister has picked red covers. Okay, so she said red covers with a noticeable amount of red. I have several covers with a bunch of red on it, so I'm gonna pull all those from the shelf and then we'll send them to her and see what she chooses. The Blood Kingdom. Oops. I've got Sour Cherry. I don't know. Okay, I'm gonna do Hellbent, but if she chooses this, I'll choose Ninth House instead. We've got The People's History of Vampire Uprising. I just did a whole class for my degree that was about vampires, so I'm kind of burnt out from vampires, but I think it'll still be an interesting book. You know what? I'm actually gonna do Ninth House because it has a huge red snake on it and the cover is red, so we'll just do that one instead. And then I have Magpie Murders. I have The God of Endings. Wow, I have a lot of red covers. And we've got Beloved. Let me FaceTime my sister and see what she says. Okay, I just got off the phone with my sister. I laid out all the covers, and then I asked her if based off the covers she wanted to pick like a few for me to read the synopsis of. So she picked Ninth House by Leigh Bardugo, Beloved by Toni Morrison, and A People's History of the Vampire Uprising by Raymond A. Villarreal is probably how you pronounce that. So sorry, I'm like trying to get into the frame. So she ended up picking Ninth House based off of the cover and the back of the book. So Ninth House was on my 25 books for 2025 that I barely got to. So I'm really excited for this. Ninth House and I think Hellbent are both on there. So they have been on my TBR for a while. I got them because I was interested in reading them, but these covers are a special edition from Barnes & Noble. Let me find Hellbent. So I have this like beautiful like red and white Ninth House edition, and then I have this red Hellbent edition. It's got black pages. I don't know how I like about the sprayed edges, but the covers are just so cool. So I'm really excited. I'll definitely get to Ninth House, and then hopefully like soon I can get to Hellbent. But yeah, I will update you when I started reading this. Okay, I am 120 pages into Ninth House. I've been doing a mix between the physical book and the audio, and I have a few thoughts. First, I'm just happy to have an entertaining read again. After the bell jar, I feel like I just wanted something fun and something like that was actually going to capture my attention, and it definitely has. Like, I'm definitely intrigued. I'm having a lot of fun with it, but I feel like that's all that is happening. Like, I want to say like I like it, but I don't love it. And one of the things that has kind of swayed my opinion is that I thought this book was YA, and as I was reading it, I was like, okay, I just kept reminding myself like this is YA, so you have to like kind of not take everything with a grain of salt, but just like, you know, suspend your disbelief a little bit more and just realize that, like, you know, things with characters don't necessarily have to fully make sense, because it's more about like the emotion of the story and the plot when it comes to YA than getting into like the nitty-gritty details. And then I just looked up, and it's actually an adult novel, and I know that Leigh Bardugo has written YA fantasy series like prior to this. So I feel like maybe she just has like remnants of a YA writing style that like has carried into this book. Maybe I haven't read anything else of hers, so maybe like it's that like her writing style just like isn't fully my favorite. Sorry, I had to restart because my cat was making a bunch of noise. So I originally thought it was YA, and so the way that the characters are written, I was gonna get on here before I literally just looked up that it's an adult and say that it needed to be written as an adult novel, but handling the adult themes with more depth and more complexity, or it needed to be written as YA without some of these adult elements. So like Alex, the main character, her background, she has like substance abuse in her background, and I believe she has a criminal history, and we just started learning about like abuse that she has suffered. So there's like a lot of adult themes, but they're presented in a very YA fashion. Like, oh yeah, she has this dark and gritty past, and like she's so traumatized and like messed up. But we don't explore that trauma like in any meaningful way. It's just kind of like there as like the plot, like to not even to like grow her character, but just to like explain, like give her a cool backstory. And I feel like that's like a little bit irresponsible handling of those subjects, but also it doesn't, like, for someone who has gone through what she's gone through, her character in this novel, because this takes place after those things have happened to her, like her character is not consistent with that past, nor is it consistent with like her new life. It's very confusing. Like, I think that Leigh Bardugo is trying to create a character that's really complex, but what I'm finding is that I don't know how she's going to react in any given scenario, because I don't think her character is like fully fleshed out. Sometimes you would expect her to react a certain way, like you'd expect her to be like a little bit more like snippy or sassy or badass, or like, or not scared of something because she's seen Grace her whole life, but then she reacts like the opposite way. But it doesn't seem to be some deep exploration of like how trauma can make you react different ways. So I know that's like long-winded, and I hope it's not like as confusing, but I just wish these characters were like more fleshed out. I feel like I know nothing about them except that they like have like messed up pasts. So like that's my whole criticism of the writing, but I'm still like really enjoying it. The plot is like really interesting. There's a few little writing style things that annoy me, like the chapter perspectives. I believe it's all in third person, but they switch perspectives from the male main character and Alex, and so it goes back and forth, and they will repeat scenes. Like, it'll be like, you'll hear the exact same words, like, oh, she told me this, and then it's like, oh, I told him this in the next chapter, and like, we don't need to hear that. Like, and it's not with any additional like commentary, like, oh, I was really feeling this inside. It's just kind of there, like, repeated, and I just was like, okay, like, that's kind of annoying. Like, I already know. Like, I feel like she's not like trusting the reader with like to be intelligent enough to like have picked those things up, and that's why I think it reads more YA. But the plot is still interesting. Like, so basically she has this messed up past, and then she gets kind of selected to go into this secret society in Yale, and they are doing all types of weird occult things, rituals with bodies and ghosts who are called Greys, and that's all like really interesting. Like, I'm intrigued, and there's like a whole mystery because one of the characters is like missing and we don't know where he is. So I'm still like really interested in the story, and I still want it to continue, but I am just kind of thinking of it as like, okay, you're reading a YA novel, even though I'm not, so I can suspend my disbelief a little bit more and not like not expect any like fully fleshed out characters or even like a fully fleshed out plot. Okay, so I finished Ninth House. I think I'm gonna give it a 3.5. I did enjoy it, but I just felt like not a lot happened, and I felt like it was just kind of it was a lot of like just telling us about the school and about the different houses and about like the societies and how the magic worked. So I felt like I was just kind of like almost like reading a history book, a little bit of like the backstory to this like story, and I don't feel like there was a lot of actual like plot. Like, we just kind of like went around to different places and there was like stuff happening, but
the kind of like this whole book feels like a side plot to like what's actually happening, which seems to be the plot of Hellbent. The main story that I thought we were getting is going to be in Hellbent instead. So I feel like I might enjoy Hellbent a lot more. And I'm definitely gonna read that because it does intrigue me, and at the end of the book I was intrigued to like continue. But this whole book just felt like a side quest, and it did like wrap up in the end, like you learned a little bit more, but overall it was just kind of, it was cool learning about the magic and how it worked. Like when I look back and I want to tell you like the plot, I feel like nothing really happened. And in addition to all the concerns I mentioned previously, it's just like if I can't get super depth into the characters, and we're also not like, you know, and we're also not like being given like a really interesting story, then I'm not really compelled to care about the history of the place and the world building. And I felt like we were just being told like over and over and over again, and I was still left confused, like still left confused how this works. And it's almost like Leigh Bardugo like had this vision for this like really complex magic system and secret societies, and these societies go back like hundreds of years. So she had like hundreds of years almost of history to like tell you, and so she just tried to like shove it all in. But of course like there was still felt like there was so much missing, and I feel like she could have replaced a lot of like, okay, maybe I don't know the history of this exact thing, but replaced it with a really compelling plot. And I just don't feel like, hello, I just don't feel like this book did that. So I am still interested to read Hellbent. I will, but yeah, 3.5, 3.5. I feel like the ending was better, but I feel like towards the ending of books I want to rate them a little bit higher, just because, you know, it gets more interesting towards the end. But yeah, that's Night House. I'm really glad I read it because it's been on my TBR for so long. I still love this cover, and yeah, hopefully I'll get to Hellbent soonish. But for now, I'm really excited because I'm gonna pick my next book, and I think this will be my last book of this video. So I did the spinner wheel. I had someone else choose my TBR. This time I saw Sarah just recently did a color generator picks my reads, where she had a color generator like pick a few colors for her, and then she went to a bookstore and picked out a book with those colors. Well, I'm just gonna shop my TBR. So I think I'm gonna pick 3 colors, but if that turns out to be too hard to match, then I'll just go down to 2, or I'll find a book that like matches those colors, kind of like if it's not the exact shade, then it'll be okay. I've gone down the 3 colors. We're gonna hit, these are just random colors that's already generated. We're gonna hit generate. Okay. I feel like it was already on that. I don't want to cheat, but I did this like a few times to see kind of like what would match my TBR, and I got this, so I'm just gonna like do it again. Okay. We have 2 different, they're actually kind of grays. It's hard to tell. Let me flip around the camera. Okay, there's no way that I can show you the colors. It's just not showing up. So I'm gonna put a screenshot of it here, and then I'm gonna go try to find some books. I think that my camera's running out of storage, so I'll be right back. Okay, my cat stole my seat that I was sitting in, so we have to move over here. I couldn't find anything with that exact blue, so I just found some things that were blue and gray, and I ended up picking The Devil in the Dark Water by Stuart Turton. I read 7.5 Deaths of Evelyn Hardcastle a while ago, like several years ago, and I really liked that story, so that's why I picked up this one. And I've had it on my TBR for several years, and I've really wanted to get to it, so I feel like this is a perfect opportunity. It's not the exact colors, but like I said, like we're just gonna have to make do because my TBR is big, but not that big. So yeah, I will update you once I've started this. And hopefully, like, because it's a mystery thriller, it should go faster than the other two books because I read those pretty fast. So I will update you shortly. Okay, I'm about halfway through The Devil in the Dark Water. For you, it's probably been like a second. For me, it's been like at least 2-ish weeks of me trying to read this book. It's not that I don't like it. Like, I really like it. I could see it being like a 3.5, 4 star, but it just is kind of moving at like a snail pace, and which is fine. Like, I don't mind a slower paced book, but for a mystery novel or like a thriller, it's kind of hard when those books move slow. And I feel like even though the stakes are really high for the people on the ship, it's very like feels very low stakes to us because there's a lot of just like going around, like different people going around having conversations about what they think is happening rather than like stuff actually happening. Like, they start to talk about how there's going to be like 3 different like trials on the boat, and those trials like don't happen like until like halfway. Like, we just got the first trial and I'm 300 pages into like a 400 something page book. So yes, things are happening, but the pacing I'm just kind of struggling with. And so I feel like I can put it down and not pick it up for a long time, and I don't feel like I'm like missing out, but I'm hoping that towards the end it starts to pick up. I like the plot. I think it's interesting. I just think that this story would be like way more interesting as like a short novella or like a short story, because it would like the concepts are really interesting, but we just don't need all this like dragged out kind of he said this, she said this. And oh, it's just taking a long time for the thrilling aspects and the mystery aspects to actually progress. But I do like the plot. Basically, there is a group of people on the ship, and the kind of gist of it is that stuff starts to happen and they don't know if it's like ghost related, like supernatural, or it's someone really like messing with them. And I kind of like that aspect of the book. One of my least favorite things is when a book isn't supernatural throughout the book and then they just throw a supernatural surprise twist ending, because it feels lazy. It feels like they just went like, oh, anything could happen because now we're in like the realm of the supernatural. And I really don't like that plot. Like, some of the books that I've rated really low are because that was the ending. I like that we introduced the supernatural elements, because if it does turn out to be supernatural or a mix of like, you know, bad people and supernatural, then I'm not going to be like shocked or surprised. But yeah, I'm wondering if this is going to be more thriller-ish than mystery. Like, I'm not saying that I'm like super scared or anything, but I'm wondering if like it's not really going to be like shock surprise ending. It's more so going to be like slow burn into like putting all the pieces together. But yeah, I'm really hoping to finish it today, or at least tomorrow, because it's been so long and I just want to move on. Not because, like I said, not because I don't like it. I just feel like I want to have it done and to move on to the next book.
Okay, guys, I finally finished The Devil in the Dark Water. I know I had said it had been like 2 weeks, but I just looked back at the clip of me picking the book and it had been a month, over a month actually. So overall, I enjoyed it. I liked the atmosphere. I was putting together a little mood board, and that made me really just like reminisce on the vibes of this book. But the process of reading it was like kind of dull at parts. I feel like the tension and the pace were just kind of off for me. Like if you're going to have a slow burn, I feel like there needs to be like a lot of tension, and it's fine if you do the slow reveals, but you have to really like make me afraid for the characters. And I just really don't feel like I was. Like I felt like even though the stakes were so high, like I was saying, I didn't feel like really anybody was in danger. And I don't know if that's just like maybe me not being immersed in the story, or me reading it so slowly and kind of slowly over the course of a month. Like maybe if I read it in like 24 or 48 hours, I would feel much more into the story, so that could be on me. But yeah, ultimately I think I'm gonna give it a 3.5. It's leaning towards a 4, so it could be a 3.75. I feel like that actually feels better. I just don't think that I can justify giving it a 4, considering that it took me so long to read. I wasn't like so invested, like I wanted to pick it up, but I still really enjoyed the reading. I picked up his 3rd book at the library because so far this is 2 books that I've liked from him. So I'm interested to see if that continues, or if it just kind of, because I definitely think I liked the ending of this book better, but I liked the plot point of 7 Deaths of Evelyn Hardcastle better. So yeah, I'm interested to see more of his work. So those are the 3 books I'm going to be reading in this video. I'm going to pop up the photo of my TBR that I made, and I'm going to check off the books that we read. So I did The Bell Jar, I read Ninth House, and then I just completed The Devil in the Dark Water. So hopefully we can get down that TBR sooner rather than later. And thank you so much for watching. Like, comment, subscribe, and I'll see you next time.